Camila sat in her armchair, her frail hands folded on her lap. Outside, the night wind rattled the old windows of her mansion. At 81, her body was tired, but her mind was sharp. She had lived a long life filled with both pain and sacrifice. She remembered the days she had nothing, when she worked as a maid and saved every penny. Then came the business, the empire she built with her late husband, brick by brick, sweat by sweat. But the greatest chapter of her life wasn't money. It was love. Years ago, when she found two abandoned children, David and Lisa, crying outside a church, she couldn't walk away. She had no children of her own. She took them in, fed them, clothed them, and raised them as if her blood ran in their veins. They became her everything. Now, her body was failing her. The lawyer was coming tomorrow to finalize the will. She was going to leave them her empire, her fortune, over $1 billion. She smiled at the thought of giving them a life of comfort, of safety, of love repaid. That night, as she passed their door, she paused. Laughter drifted out, muffled but sharp. She leaned closer. Then her world shattered. "She won't last much longer," David's voice whispered. "We just need to make sure her medicine is handled." Lisa giggled. "Imagine all that money hours in a few days. She thinks we care. What a fool." Camila's hand trembled on the doorknob. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it would stop. Betrayal. From the very children she had given her soul to. Tears burned her eyes, but she didn't step inside. She didn't scream. She didn't collapse. She pulled back silently, her old body shaking, but her mind burning with fire. If they thought she was weak, they were wrong. She wasn't going to break. She was going to fight. The night felt longer than any Camila had ever known. She sat alone in her bedroom, her chest heavy with both grief and rage. Her eyes stayed on the small bottle of pills on her nightstand. She had trusted them to bring her the right medicine every evening. How many times had they smiled at her, kissed her cheek, and slipped poison into her life disguised as love? Her tears dried quickly. Betrayal had a way of killing sorrow and feeding anger. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't rest knowing two vipers lived under her roof. Yet, she couldn't throw them out immediately. If she confronted them, they would deny it. Worse, they would accelerate their plan. She needed a trap. At dawn, she called her loyal housekeeper, Mary. Mary had been with her for 40 years, a woman who had seen everything and stayed loyal no matter what. Camila whispered everything she heard through the crack of the door. Mary's face turned pale, but her eyes burned with protective fury. "They will pay," Mary said quietly. "No," Camila replied, her voice steady. "They will reveal themselves. And when they do, everything will turn against them." Camila ordered Mary to swap the pills with harmless sugar tablets. That night, when Lisa came in smiling, carrying the glass of water, Camila swallowed them as usual. Lisa left with a satisfied grin. Camila stayed awake, her heart pounding. Every hour dragged. They thought she was dying, but she was only growing sharper, stronger. Tomorrow, they would learn what betrayal costs. Morning sunlight poured through the tall windows of the mansion. Camila dressed herself with care. She wore her finest black dress, pearls around her neck, and a silk scarf her husband had once given her. She looked fragile, yes, but regal too, like a queen hiding a sword behind her back. Downstairs, David and Lisa laughed over breakfast, sipping orange juice as if nothing was wrong. When they saw her, they rushed to her side, each holding her hand. "Mother," Lisa said sweetly. "How are you feeling today?" Camila smiled, though her heart burned with anger. "Better, my dear. Much better than last night." She sat at the head of the table, eating slowly, watching them with eagle eyes. Every movement they made, every fake smile, every empty word. They thought they were clever. But she had built an empire out of nothing. She had seen betrayal before, her business partners, investors, family who wanted a share of her gold. None of them had hurt like this. None had cut so deep. David leaned closer. Mother, the lawyer is coming today, right? To finalize things. Yes, Camila said softly, almost a whisper. Everything will be finalized. They exchanged quick glances, their eyes glinting with greed. They didn't know what she had planned. They didn't know she had already called someone else. Someone who wasn't a lawyer. By nightfall, their masks would fall. The mansion was too quiet. Camila could almost hear her own heartbeat echoing against the marble walls. She sat in her study, the heavy oak desk in front of her littered with papers. Beside the desk stood Mary, her hands clenched tight around her apron. They are snakes, Mary said, her voice low but trembling with rage. If you don't stop them, they will eat you alive. Camila closed her eyes. She was tired, but her spirit was still sharp. No, Mary. If I confront them now, they will only smile and lie. They will call me an old woman losing her mind. The world will believe them. We need proof, proof so strong no one can deny it. Mary leaned closer. How do we get that proof? Camila's lips curved into a small, cold smile. By letting them think they are winning. She pulled open a drawer and revealed a small recording device, sleek, silver, and simple. This house has too many secrets. It's time it listened for me. That night, Camila placed the device under their bedroom vent, the one that carried whispers like smoke through the house. Hours later, she lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, listening through an earpiece. She looked so weak today, Lisa giggled. Good, David replied. The weaker she gets, the faster the money comes. Tomorrow, after she signs, we won't even need to wait. We can speed it up. Their laughter cut through the silence like knives. Camila's chest tightened, but she didn't cry. Instead, she whispered into the dark. Tomorrow, the game changes. The next morning, Camila moved slower than usual, leaning more heavily on her cane. Every step was calculated, every sigh deliberate. David and Lisa hovered around her like vultures disguised as angels, bringing her tea, adjusting her chair, pretending to care. Don't worry, Mother, David said smoothly. Today will be easy. Just a signature, and all the boring papers will be handled. You'll have nothing else to stress about. Camila smiled faintly. Yes, my son. Just a signature. Lisa stroked her shoulder gently. You've taken such good care of us all these years. You can finally rest. Her words dripped with poison, though she delivered them with the softest voice. Camila wanted to spit in her face, but instead, she patted Lisa's hand tenderly, as though she believed every lie. By noon, the house was filled with tension. David paced the living room. Lisa kept checking her reflection in the mirror, fixing her hair, as though preparing to be photographed as the new heir of $1 billion fortune. Camila sat in silence, her eyes on the clock. Each tick brought her closer to the moment. Finally, the doorbell rang. David jumped up. That must be him. He rushed to open the door, his greedy smile wide, but when the heavy front door swung open, his face froze. It wasn't the lawyer. It was Detective James. Detective James was tall, with sharp eyes that seemed to pierce through skin and bone. He stepped inside slowly, scanning the room. Behind him, 2 uniformed officers followed. David stammered. I think you have the wrong house. We're expecting. Sit down, James cut in, his voice firm, leaving no room for argument. Lisa frowned. What is this? Mother, what's going on? Camila, seated gracefully in her chair, raised her chin. Her eyes locked on the 2 faces she once loved as her own. This is the truth arriving. David laughed nervously. Truth? Mother, what are you talking about? James pulled a small recorder from his pocket, placed it on the table, and pressed play. She looked so weak today. Good. The weaker she gets, the faster the money comes. Tomorrow, after she signs, we won't even need to wait. We can speed it up. Lisa's face drained of color. David's jaw tightened, his hands clenching into fists. Camila's voice broke the silence. I heard every word. The children I raised, the ones I gave my life to, plotting to end me for money. Lisa tried to cry. Mother, that's not true. It's taken out of context. James slammed his hand on the table. Save it. Poisoning an elderly woman for her fortune? That's not context. That's attempted murder. The room was silent, the weight of betrayal choking the air. Camila stared at them both, her voice soft but cutting like glass. You thought I was weak. But you forgot, I raised you. I know how snakes move. David's mask cracked first. His voice turned hard, venom replacing charm. You think you're clever, old woman, he spat. Without us, you'd be dead already. We've been taking care of you, watching your every move. You think you can play us with recordings? Lisa's tears vanished instantly. She stood taller, her face twisted with anger. You should have just signed the papers and gone quietly. Now look what you've done. Detective James stepped closer, his hand near his holster. Careful with your words. But Camila raised her hand calmly. Let them speak. Let them show me who they really are. David sneered, his eyes full of hatred. We wasted our lives pretending to love you. Do you know how humiliating it was? Smiling at you, calling you a mother, while waiting for you to finally drop dead? We should have finished this months ago. Lisa hissed through clenched teeth. And we still can. Do you think this detective will protect you forever? Money changes everything. And soon, it'll all be ours. Mary, who had been standing quietly in the corner, finally stepped forward, her voice shaking with fury. How dare you speak to her like that? She gave you everything. She chose you when no one else wanted you. But David only laughed. A cruel, hollow laugh. She was a fool. And fools deserve to lose. Camila's heart ached, but her face stayed cold. She turned to James. You hear them. You see them. Do what must be done. James nodded. David and Lisa, you're under arrest for conspiracy and attempted murder. The click of handcuffs echoed like thunder through the mansion. The cuffs clinked as David and Lisa were forced into the armchairs, their faces twisted with fury. Detective James stood tall, reading them their rights, but Camila barely heard the words. Her eyes never left the two faces she once kissed goodnight, the faces she once thought of as her children. Lisa squirmed in her chair, her voice dripping with venom. You can't do this. You're old, you're confused. No court will believe you over us. We're family. Camila's heart ached at that word, family. It once meant love, but now it felt like poison. She leaned forward, her voice soft but sharp. Blood doesn't make family. Actions do. And yours are rotten. David smirked, even with the cuffs on. You think money will save you? It's ours, one way or another. You're too old to control it. The moment you die, it comes to us. Camila's eyes narrowed. Not anymore. Lisa's face twisted. What do you mean? Detective James stepped in. She has the right to change her will at any time. And I'd say tonight gave her a very good reason. For the first time, fear flickered in their eyes. They realized their billion-dollar dream was slipping like sand through their fingers. Camila leaned back, her face calm, but her words cutting. You wanted me gone so you could inherit. But now, even if I die tomorrow, you'll inherit nothing but shame. That night, the house felt emptier than ever. The police had taken David and Lisa away for questioning, but Camila knew it wasn't over. They were cunning. They would find lawyers, twist stories, and fight their way back. Money gave them power, even behind bars. Mary brought her tea, her hands trembling. Madam, I don't understand. Why didn't you finish it today? Why not cut them out and be done with it? Camila sipped slowly, her eyes distant. Because revenge must be complete. Cutting them out is too easy. They must see the life they wanted crumble in front of their eyes. They must feel the sting of betrayal, as I felt it. Mary shivered. You frighten me when you speak like that. Camilla touched her hand gently. Don't be frightened. The only people who should fear me now are the ones who tried to kill me. Later, when the house was quiet again, Camilla sat at her desk, pen in hand. She began writing letters, sealed instructions for her lawyers, new documents hidden in the safe. She wasn't just removing David and Lisa. She was rewriting everything. And as her pen scratched across the paper, she whispered, "You thought I was weak. You thought I was finished. But I am just beginning." The next day brought storms, both outside and inside the mansion. Rain battered the windows, lightning cracked the sky, and Camilla felt the weight of destiny pressing down. Mary rushed in, her face pale. "Madam, they've been released. The police couldn't hold them without stronger proof. The recording wasn't enough, they claimed it was just dark humor that you misunderstood." Camilla closed her eyes. She had expected this. Betrayal always finds a way to survive. "What about the lawyer?" she asked. Mary hesitated. "He's nervous. He says this case could turn messy. He's not sure if he wants to continue." Camilla's lips curved into a thin smile. "Then he is not the lawyer I need." That evening, she made calls. Old friends, powerful allies, people who owed her favors. She built her empire once without help, now she would build her revenge with allies stronger than her enemies could imagine. When David and Lisa stormed back into the house, drenched from the rain, they found her waiting in the study, her back straight, her eyes glowing with fire. "You came back," she said calmly. David sneered. "This is still our house. You can't stop us." Camilla's voice dropped to a whisper. "I already have." The tension in the room was thick enough to choke. David slammed his fist on the table. "You don't get it, old woman. You're weak, you're dying. The world will take our side. Everyone will believe we're the caring children protecting our mother. You'll look like a bitter old woman turning on her own." Lisa nodded, her face pale but determined. "You can't win this. Money, power, reputation will bury you." Camilla stared at them with steady eyes. "Do you know what makes me different from you? I built my power. I earned my money. And I never betrayed the hands that fed me. That is why I will win." At that moment, Detective James stepped out from the shadows of the room. David and Lisa froze. They hadn't realized he was still in the house. James smirked. "You two just can't help yourselves, can you? Always talking too much. Good thing I had this running." He lifted a small recorder from his pocket. Lisa's face crumbled. David cursed under his breath. Camilla's voice was calm, like a blade slipping between ribs. "Every word you speak becomes another nail in your coffin. And I will not stop until you are buried by your own lies." That night, the storm outside grew wilder, matching the chaos inside. David and Lisa were furious, pacing, shouting, threatening. They were cornered animals now, dangerous and desperate. Camilla locked her bedroom door, but she did not sleep. She knew they were planning something. Betrayal this deep doesn't end with words. It ends with blood. And she was not going to let it be hers. Rain lashed against the mansion windows like a warning from heaven. Camilla sat upright in her bed, her eyes open, waiting. The clock ticked past midnight when she heard it, the faint creak of a floorboard outside her door. Her hand tightened around the small bell she kept on the nightstand. One ring would bring Mary running, but Camilla did not move. She wanted to know how far they would go. The door handle turned slowly. A shadow slipped inside. David's tall figure loomed, his face barely visible in the lightning flashes. In his hand, a small vial glinted. Camilla's heart pounded, but she kept still, her breathing slow and shallow, as if asleep. David moved closer, unscrewing the vial. Unscrewing the vial. "Sweet dreams, Mother," he whispered with a twisted smile. Just as he lifted the vial toward her water glass, the lamp beside her bed flicked on. Camila sat up straight, her eyes locked on his. David froze. His mask of charm shattered. "You," Camila said coldly, "are no son of mine." Before he could react, the door burst open. Detective James and Mary rushed in. James pointed his gun. "Drop it!" David's face twisted with rage. "She's lying." "She." "Drop it!" James thundered again. The vial slipped from David's hand, shattering on the floor. The sharp smell of poison filled the air. Camila's voice was steady, her eyes burning with betrayal. "I saved you once from the streets. But tonight, I saved myself from you." Lisa sat in the corner of the sitting room, trembling as David was dragged away by the officers. Her eyes darted between Camila and James, searching for a weakness, an escape. "Please," she begged, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know he was going to do that. I swear, I wasn't part of it. I was asleep." Camila studied her carefully. For years, she had believed Lisa's tears. For years, those tears had meant pain, hunger, fear. But now, they looked different. Hollow. Practiced. "Your laughter betrayed you," Camila said softly. Lisa blinked. "What?" "You laughed when you thought of me dying. You laughed with him." "I heard it myself." Lisa's face hardened, her tears vanishing like smoke. "And what if I did? You think this act makes you powerful? You're old, Camila. Old and alone. Without us, you'll die surrounded by strangers who only want your money." Mary gasped. "How dare you?" Camila silenced her with a raised hand. "No, Mary. Let her speak. Let her show the truth." Lisa stepped closer, her voice low, venomous. "You could have given us everything quietly. Instead, you chose war. And trust me, Mother, wars are messy. When this ends, you'll be the one buried." Camila's eyes stayed cold. "We will see who buries whom." The mansion was crawling with tension. David was behind bars for the night, but Lisa remained free. James warned Camila that the case wasn't sealed. Without undeniable evidence, they could both walk away clean. But Camila wasn't afraid. She had waited her whole life for justice. She wasn't about to stop now. She sat at her desk, signing new documents. Mary watched anxiously. "Madam, you're pushing yourself too hard." Camila smiled faintly. "Do you know what kept me alive all these years, Mary? Not health. Not youth. Willpower. And now, my will is stronger than ever." She signed her name on the final page and locked it in the safe. "This fortune will not go to snakes. It will go where it belongs, to the children who are truly abandoned, like David and Lisa once were. Only this time, I will choose wisely." Mary's eyes filled with tears. "You're a queen, madam." Camila reached across the desk and squeezed her hand. "No. I am a mother who has learned. That makes me stronger than any queen." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. Somewhere in the darkness, Lisa was plotting her next move. By morning, Lisa was gone. Her bedroom lay empty, the sheets torn from the bed, the window cracked open. Mary panicked when she discovered it, rushing to Camila's room. "She's gone. She's run away." Camila nodded calmly, though her chest tightened. "She's not running. She's preparing." Detective James arrived within the hour, his jaw tense. "We found a car waiting for her last night. She's not just running away, she's gathering resources. Lisa's dangerous now. Desperate." Camila's eyes darkened. "Good. Let her gather. Let her plan. Because when she returns, I will be ready." James frowned. you sound too calm for someone who's being hunted. Camila leaned back in her chair, her voice steady. I've been hunted before. Poverty hunted me. Loneliness hunted me. Racism, sexism, betrayal, they all hunted me. And yet, here I sit. Lisa is just another hunter. And hunters often become prey. Mary shivered at her words. But deep down, she knew Camila was right. The war wasn't over. It had only just begun. That night, silence wrapped around the mansion like a shroud. But Camila felt it, the storm in the air, the tension in her bones. And then, just past midnight, she heard it. A soft scratching at the back door. A creak of hinges. Footsteps. Lisa had returned. Camila didn't move. She sat in the darkened study, the papers of her new will locked safely in the desk. Her hand rested on her cane, her eyes fixed on the doorway. The door creaked open, and Lisa stepped inside, her face twisted with rage and desperation. You ruined everything, she hissed. Camila's voice was calm, steady, unshaken. No, Lisa. You ruined yourself. Lisa's eyes glimmered with madness. Then I'll fix it. Tonight. She pulled a knife from her coat. Camila's lips curved into a faint smile. I was hoping you'd try. From the shadows, movement stirred. Detective James stepped out, gun raised. Mary followed, holding the recorder. Camila's trap had sprung again. Lisa froze as the gun's barrel glinted in the lamplight. Detective James's voice thundered. Drop the knife! For a moment, Camila thought Lisa would obey. Her hand trembled, her eyes darting around the room. But then her face hardened with hatred. No! Lisa screamed. She lunged forward, the blade aimed straight at Camila's chest. The shot rang out before she reached her. Lisa collapsed to the floor, the knife clattering across the wood. Her shoulder bled, the wound disabling but not fatal. James rushed to secure her, while Mary sobbed against the wall. Camila sat perfectly still, her heart pounding but her expression calm. Lisa writhed on the floor, her eyes filled with hate. You'll regret this. I was your daughter. Camila's voice broke, but she did not waver. No. You were a shadow I mistook for light. The police swarmed the mansion within the hour. Lisa, bound and screaming, was dragged away to join her brother in custody. Their empire of lies had crumbled, their last desperate act sealing their fate. Mary poured Camila a cup of tea, her hand still shaking. It's over, madam. They're gone. You can rest now. Camila sipped slowly, staring into the steam. No, Mary. It's not over. The wounds they left will never fully close. But I can make sure no one else suffers as I did. She unlocked her desk and pulled out the document she had signed, the new will. Mary leaned forward, her eyes widening. You're giving it all away. Camila nodded. Not to vipers. To the children who truly need it. The abandoned, the forgotten, the ones who cry at night with no arms to hold them. That will be my legacy. Her eyes glistened with tears, but her voice was steady. I mistook greed for gratitude once. I will not make that mistake again. Weeks passed. The trial shook the city. Newspapers printed the shocking tale of the billionaire betrayed by her own adopted children. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse, gasping as the siblings were led inside in chains. Camila sat in the courtroom, her black dress as regal as armor. She watched without flinching as the jury delivered its verdict, guilty on all counts. David and Lisa's faces turned pale as the gavel struck. Justice had been served. But Camila's heart still ached. Love doesn't die cleanly. It bleeds, it lingers. She whispered a silent prayer that somewhere deep inside them, the children she once loved would remember her kindness, even as they paid for their cruelty. Months later, Camila stood in the courtyard of the new foundation she had built, the House of Light. Children of all races and backgrounds laughed and played, their voices rising into the air like music. Mary stood beside her, tears in her eyes. "You did it, madam. You turned pain into hope." Camilla smiled faintly, watching a little boy chase a butterfly across the grass. This is what wealth is for, not greed, not power, but healing. The billion-dollar inheritance was gone, spread into schools, hospitals, shelters, and homes for children without families. But in its place stood something far more powerful, love that could not be bought or betrayed. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Camilla sat in her chair, her hands folded gently on her lap. The air was calm, filled with the laughter of children and the soft rustle of leaves. She closed her eyes, whispering into the golden light, "I gave you everything, and you betrayed me. But in the end, I took back my heart and gave it to those who deserved it." Her chest swelled with peace. She had faced betrayal, fought back with strength, and chosen love over hate. Camilla smiled softly. "This is my true inheritance." And for the first time in years, she felt free.